united, will never be defeated. The people united 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 will never be defeated. Yemen, make us proud. Send another ship around. 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 We want to get this before I take everyone.
Yes.
يلا اطلعي
because we want to see an end to the bloodshed in Gaza. We've gathered here today because we want a ceasefire. We've gathered here today because we want peace. These shouldn't be controversial things tonight. Yet, we are still ignored by the people in power, who should have been calling for peace a long time ago. But let me be clear, I don't mean temporary ceasefire, I mean a permanent ceasefire. Only through a permanent ceasefire can the negotiations resolve themselves on both sides. Only through a permanent ceasefire can the negotiations for a lasting peace there. There will be many critics of these rallies and gatherings. There have been many people trying to sully the intentions and behaviours of us who want to march, who choose to march. I marched with you in Cardiff. I'm here with you today. I stood in peaceful vigil with medical professionals. I visited places of worship. I've talked with leaders from many different faiths. I've talked to humanitarian charities and I can state without hesitation that I've only heard compassion, humanity and resolve to save lives. What we are calling for is the only option if you have compassion and humanity. I can assure you that you have the full support of my family in stopping the violence. In conjunction with the local Palestinian Solidarity Campaign and other PSC groups, I tabled a cross-party statement of opinion along with James Dodds and with John Griffiths earlier this month. The statement welcomes South Africa's request for a provisional measure by the International Court of Justice to prevent acts of genocide. It also urged the UK government to uphold their duty to prevent genocide with the 1948 Genocide Convention and actively avoid complicity. I'm pleased to say every member of the Parliament signed the statement, and I thank for John for working with me on that statement, and to Jane Bryant and the other Newport constituency member of the Senate for her support as well. I am disappointed, however, that only 4 other Labour MSs, apart from John and Jane, have supported the statement to date. I'd urge you all to check which MS has supported the statement, and if they haven't supported the statement, Please ask them why. We have
in Wales. And I'd really like to pay tribute to the UN as well and Antonio Guterres, because I think the UN in such difficult circumstances have been doing amazing work, and they are making their voices heard as well on social media and elsewhere. And I'd just like to end by saying a huge thank you to the South African government, drawing on their own experience of suffering, oppression and then liberation, to take forward that experience for others, for Gaza, for the Palestinians. And it's a powerful case. You know, people say nothing will come of it. It's making international feelings known. It's making international voices heard. And you know, the vast majority of the world, the vast majority of countries in the world, like us here today, want to see an immediate ceasefire now. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Thank you all! Thank you!
Hey everybody, thank you. And now we have the inimitable Betty Hunter.
Hooray!
Of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign.
Thank you very much, everybody. I think this has been a tremendous demonstration and march, which shows the strength of feeling here, not just in Newport, but across South Wales. Well done, all of you, for coming out on this bitter day, and to the organisers. I want to talk probably repetitiously about some of the issues that other people have mentioned. And that is, of course, firstly, the ceasefire now. It absolutely is our first demand. We can't do anything to rescue the Palestinian people until there is an end to the butchery and slaughter that is going on. So that's the first demand, and the demand has to be made to the entirety of the international community. The politicians across the world have got to be made to actually answer the question, why are the Palestinians being treated in the way that they are being treated now? And I'll tell you, because it's racism. And what we've got to demand from these politicians and everybody else is that the rights that are entitled to in the United Nations Charter of Human Rights. And that includes, no matter what Netanyahu and the Israelis say, that includes the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination, and the right of the Palestinian people to return to Palestine. But before that, we, the people around the world who are standing up for Palestine, and the right to life. If we don't give the Palestinians the right to life, what else is there? And we have been watching the slaughter and the obscenity of the slaughter. At the same time as Israeli politicians and military people tell us that it's not their God, their God that are killing the people. They're telling us it's not them. And until we start acting, they're going to get away with it like they've got away with it for 75 years. Yes! This obscenity goes unchallenged on our screens. by the media, the mainstream media. They don't challenge these people, these cowards who want to destroy the Palestinian people. But we see it, and we can't be denied, and it won't be denied. This is genocide.
Yes.
And the South Africans are leading the way, and we have to keep mobilised so that the South Africans know they've got support across the world in this, because it is not easy for the South Africans. They will be being punished in economic terms, in diplomatic terms and so on. It is not easy for them, so we have to keep mobilised to make sure they achieve the guilty version. I do want to see that this period must become a turning point. I mentioned 75 years. This cannot go on any longer. And that's why we have to keep doing this. And even if there's a ceasefire, we've got to keep mobilised for the Palestinian people, because we have to achieve their justice. I want to talk about what else we can do. It was brilliant that our MSs are doing everything they can do with the debug. But people, we ordinary people, are the ones who must act. And I will come to a conclusion by talking about the boycott and divest movement. In my hand, boycott is really genocide. We have to make Wales an apartheid-free country. We've had some victories, the latest being Puma stopping supporting or sponsoring the football factories. What we have to do is put them in their pockets as well here. And we can all, we've got to make Israel a pariah state. We really have to. And I would like everybody to boycott everything that you see that is labelled Israeli. We've got to do this, and we can do it every day. Wales Palestine Solidarity groups are asking you to put notices like this in shopping trolleys full of Israeli goods. I did it the other day, and I'm going to do it again. We've produced leaflets to give out to encourage the people in Wales. We've got them in Welsh and English to say boycott everything Israeli. We've got postcards that are addressed to the managers of supermarkets and other stores, asking them to stop stocking Israeli goods. These are the actions that we, the ordinary people, can do. And if we keep doing this, plus the demonstrations, plus the lobbies of Parliament, then we really will make it clear that we aren't going to stop until we have free Palestine! Free Palestine! Thank you very much.
Palestine! Palestine will be free! Occupation no more! Israel is a terror state! Israel is a terror state! Palestine! 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 who's the Welsh Youth Parliament member for Newport East. And she's going to read us a poem. Thank you.
Hello, Newport! I'm here to read a poem to express myself. In unity we gather, hearts filled with might, marching for Palestine, shining a light. Barclays, Zara and Starbucks we boycott. For justice and freedom, our voices won't be forgot. Barclays, your ties to injustice we see. We stand against your complicity. Zara, your silence speaks volumes too. We won't support a brand that's staying true. Starbucks, your profits shouldn't come at a cost. We won't tip from a cup that's unjustly embossed. In solidarity, we take a stance. Boycotting these brands, hand in hand. With every step we take, we raise awareness. For the people of Palestine, we show our careness. Together we march, side by side, demanding justice. We won't be denied. In Newport and beyond, our voices resound. For a world where equality can be found. Barclays, Zara and Starbucks, take heed. We won't support brands that sow injustice seed. Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free! From the river to the street, Palestine will be free! Free, free, Palestine! Free, free, Palestine! Thank you.
Okay. Our next speaker is Pippa Bartolotti, who's just making her way to the stage.
It's right above me.
I tried to.
Oh, they're so loud.
Yeah, we're going to
Shit. Okay, that's very thank you.
Red, white, and red, black, and green.
You have another one?
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Love you, Newport. This is the place. 2 women every hour. That's what's happening. That's the death rate in Gaza at the moment. 2 women every hour. And I say great gratitude to the women of Newport who've come out today because our sisters are in trouble. Why are they killing the women? Because the women can reproduce. The men can't. Sorry guys. You're only part of the deal there. But the women, they're the ones they're trying to get. And our sisters in Gaza are in deep, deep trouble. The little girls and little boys, over 11,000 dead so far. It is unconscionable. I cannot believe that our governments are not only letting this happen, not only encouraging it to happen, but actually feeding it with weapons, with bombs, with artillery. The arms trade is making a fortune. And this is wrong. The economy of the Western world is set up wrong. It's set up for death. It's set up for violence. And this is the way the new world order is planned. It isn't planned for us to have a great life, for us to enjoy nature and to enjoy the fruits of our labour. The new world order is set up for conflict and for violence. What is happening in Israel is just the start of what is happening everywhere. We have to be absolutely sure of this. What is happening is the security apparatus of our countries imagines the worst case scenario, whether it be over something like Gaza and land, whether it be over climate change, whether it be over resources. They imagine the worst case scenario and they train violence into their forces to deal with every case as if it's a worst case. And you know this is what's happening in Gaza right now. It was a small incursion, and goodness knows breaking out of that open-air concentration camp was long overdue. How could anybody be kept like that even before October the 7th? And remember, I've been to Gaza. I know what it's like. I've been to Israel. I've heard the lies. Every time Netanyahu opens his mouth, it is lies. Across the whole country, they are trained. When I was arrested in Israel, they told me they were taking me to my hotel. Lies! They took me to prison. So let's just get this straight. Where lies are sold to us as truth, especially in the mainstream media, when peace is sold to us as violence, when death is sold to us as life, we are now getting what 1984 warned us about, the doublespeak. Our mainstream media channels are not telling us what's going on. They're not telling us about what Hezbollah is doing in the north. They're not telling us that Thailand is taking Israel to the International Criminal Court for its illegal 70 years of occupation. They're not telling us that Mexico is taking Israel to the International Criminal Court. We are not hearing even half the story. The rest of the world is not the Western world. The rest of the world are people like us. There are people who have not been colonialized, who have not been subjected to a settler economy, to the racism of First Nations have suffered across the world. From Australia to America, First Nations have been damaged, killed, hunted and scorned. But the rest of the world knows this. And the rest of the world is a lot more countries than the West, which is basically Europe and America. We have a chance to change future. We have to stay on the streets. We have to keep engaging our elected members, even though we know it's almost thankless, except for our dear friends who came here today. We have to keep going, because we need to take this chance. Maybe we can look back and see that Palestinians have liberated us all. Maybe this is our moment. So free Palestine! Free Palestine! Thank you for listening.
Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! Occupation no more! Israel is a terrorist state! Palestine!
Hello everyone! Thank you for being here. I hope you can understand my New York accent. My name is Joe Lombardo. I am in the United States the coordinator of the United National Anti-War Coalition. It's a coalition of anti-war and social justice groups throughout the country. And just as you are doing here, we have been marching in every city and every town across the country. Last week I was in London with hundreds of thousands of others. And there was some information on the BBC about the London March. More about the march that took place the following day, the Zionist March. But what they didn't tell you was at the same time, there were 400,000 people in Washington, D.C. saying no to Zionism and supporting Palestine and supporting the people of Gaza. I don't know if you've noticed, but it seems the BBC and it seems the other corporate media has been covering Palestine and Gaza less and less. When they showed on the TV screen the death and destruction in Palestine, people across the country and throughout the world reacted. So they stopped showing you it. They think their silence will keep you silent. Don't be silent. The United States and the UK are isolated in the world, and Israel is isolated in the world like never before. Israel is no longer the sacred cow that cannot be criticized. They are committing war crimes, and we see them on our TV screens, and we see them on our social media feeds. It is a war crime by the Geneva Accords to not allow civilians out of conflict areas. The people of Gaza are kept in that prison. It's like shooting fish in a bucket. They are not allowed to get away from the murder and the killings that's being perpetrated by the Zionist entity and being supported by London and by Washington, D.C. It is a war crime to deny people food and water. They are being denied food and water. It is a war crime to target hospitals and refugee camps and mosques and churches and civilian homes, and they are all being targeted. These are war crimes. We are all thankful to South Africa for taking the risk and bringing the case for genocide to the International Court of Justice. But we must also thank the people of Yemen for doing what they are doing. They are taking a forthright stand, and you may not know this, but in the last couple of days, Indonesia, Chile, and Mexico have also filed cases against Israel. I do not believe we can depend upon our politicians, despite the nice statements that we heard here today from some of them. The only way we will end this genocide is through people power, is by us staying in the streets, demonstrating over and over again. We must not let this happen. We must stay in the streets. And what is happening is not only is Israel under great pressure from the Palestinians and the people of the world, but so is the U.S. and so is Britain. They are being exposed as never before. They can no longer say they are the homes of democracy and freedom. They are the people that support genocide. Stay in the streets. Keep fighting the Palestinian people, and we shall win. Thank you.
Yemen, Yemen, we love you. Okay. We love you. We love you. Palestine. Palestine.
What's going on, Newport?
I'm loving this energy. I'm loving that everyone is on it, everyone is up for it, and everyone knows that this is not going to stop until Palestine is free. I'm not going to bore you. I'm not going to talk too much. I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to say I'm proud of every single one of you. Please keep coming out. Keep using your platforms, your social media. Keep boycotting. Keep talking to people, educating people. That's what's working. That's what's going to help this succeed. And this is what's going to bring down the Israeli apartheid state. So back in Cardiff next week, next Saturday, we're going to have our usual weekly demonstration at 12:30. Check out for any vigils, any actions in your area. Go support them, make noise, tell people about them, and keep saying loudly, free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
Palestine will be free. Occupation no more. Israel is a terror state. Palestine will be free. Palestine. Palestine.
On behalf of my organization, Cardiff Stop the War Coalition, we'd like to give a red salute to the Newport Palestine Solidarity Campaign for leading this magnificent march today. Today, we have opened up on the streets of Newport the second front of the Palestinian resistance to war and occupation and annihilation. Today, we reaffirm the Palestinian right to exist, to resist, to return. Now, I had a very articulate and eloquent speech prepared about Yemen, but it is a little bit cold. I was going to talk about the humanitarian blockade imposed on ships in the Red Sea, the economic sanctions imposed on Israel so it stops the genocide. I was going to talk about the United States and its poodle, the United Kingdom, some of the richest countries on earth, dropping bombs on Yemen, one of the poorest countries on earth. But I'm not going to talk about that today. Or rather, let me tell you a story. Have you ever heard the story of the pirate and the emperor? A pirate was brought before Alexander the Great, and Alexander said to the pirate, "How dare you loot my ships and terrorize the people?" And the pirate stopped for a moment, and he said, "Wait a minute, I loot a few ships and I terrorize a few people, and I'm called pirate and brigand. You terrorize entire peoples and loot entire continents, but they call you emperor and god. Is that not the world we live in today? A world of pirates and emperors, by the USA, which stands for the United States of Amnesia, because they never seem to remember their own war crimes. It's the biggest terrorist in the world. It's the United States who drops bombs on Afghanistan and Iraq over the last 2 decades. It's the United States and its poodle, the United Kingdom, who arm and aid the corrupt kings, the puppet presidents, the tyrants, the torturers, the butchers, the murderers, the dictators and despots who hold the Arab people and other peoples in chains. It's the United States and the United Kingdom who arm the apartheid state of Israel to slaughter, to relentlessly slaughter the Palestinians. Friends, we live in a world gone wrong. The world is out of joint, and it's going to take very powerful movements to manipulate things back into place. We live in a world where some people feast and other people die of famines. We live in a world where some people wallow in champagne while millions of people are denied access to free. We live in a world where some people wallow in champagne while millions are denied access to water. We live in a world where the poor live under bridges and cardboard boxes while the rich play house. Sorry. We live in a world where the poor live under bridges and cardboard boxes, while the rich live up on the mansion or the hill. I read recently that the richest men on this planet have more wealth than the majority of humanity. That is a crime against humanity. But we're here for Palestine. Now, people remember that in 1967, it took Israel 6 days to defeat the combined armies of the Arab world. Well, it's been over 100 days and the Palestinian resistance is undefeated. Now, we're now at a crossroads and a crisis for our democracy. The majority of people in this country support an immediate ceasefire, but the majority of MPs support the genocide. And it's very important that we march in Newport, because Newport was a cradle and a crucible of our democracy. For those who don't know their history, in the good old days of the British Empire, when the sun never set and the blood never dried, while our country was busy invading other people's countries, most people in this country had no human rights, no civil rights, no right to education, and no right to vote. And the people of South Wales rose up in their thousands in Newport in 1839 with the aim to wage a rebellion across this island to establish a democratic workers' republic. And the three vital letters of their movement, Chartism, the movement for the white class right to vote, that I'd like to leave with you today. The first lesson is they weren't just after the right to vote for voting's sake. They were after the right to vote to transfer wealth and power from the top to everyday people and ordinary citizens. And that is an unfinished revolution. The second great lesson of the Chartists is that change comes from power, and power comes from organization. You have to build a mass power organization. In Cardiff, we tried to build the Cardiff Stop the War Coalition to wage war against war. For over 2 decades, we've been fighting war. War in Afghanistan, war in Iraq, war on Syria, war on Ukraine, war on Palestine, war on democracy, war on human rights, and war on our minds. We have to start building these mass power organizations against war and economic crisis and racism and fascism and ecological devastation. I think the third great lesson of the Chartists is that we often hear, particularly in recession, people say, well, now there's a recession, now times are hard, we have to look at our own. But if we look at the Chartist movement, who are their leaders? They're Irish immigrants like Fergus O'Connor and Bronzer O'Brien. One of their leaders, his name was William Cuffey, the son of a West Indian sailor and the grandson of a man who was taken from Africa by force. So immigrants have not only participated in the struggle for our freedom, they've led the struggles, and we wouldn't have any freedom at all in Britain without the contribution of immigrant communities. So we're going to keep on fighting, because we know that without peace, without freedom, there can be no peace. Because unless you're free, you cannot be at peace. And I just want to say one last thing. One of the great theologians of antiquity, St. Augustine, once said, hope has 2 beautiful daughters, anger and courage. Anger at the way things are, and courage to see that things do not remain as they are. So let us continue to march in anger, hope and courage until Palestine is free. Thank you.
Hello, Newport. Hi, guys. My name is Hadil, and I just want to say a few words about our dear journalists in Gaza, currently risking everything to show us in real time and what's happening. As a British Palestinian myself, with a voice in this issue, I believe we should, as a collective, speak up for those without one. I feel, as much as we've talked about the civilians in Gaza, I feel we have disregarded the true heroes who are the journalists. I recently noted the contrast with the amount of journalists that have lost their lives in Gaza compared to the recent Ukraine-Russia war. It is important to note that in Ukraine, 17 journalists sadly lost their lives. However, in Gaza, the death toll of journalists is over 150. This is a significant indicator of them silencing us, and a clear indication of how much they are currently targeting those who are attempting to tell us the truth. Additionally, I presently participate in these TikTok lives, which effectively provide a forum for journalists to report events in real time, giving us access to information ahead of the news. and media. And it is important to note that the information you journalists give us were used as evidence in the ICJ. One of the journalists said something that will always stick in my memory. He said in clear Arabic, which we then translated for the other viewers, he said that we made him laugh and in essence forget about his difficulties. And that he was thankful that we had given him a platform to express himself freely. This should serve as a stark reminder that we must never stop sharing and raising awareness for the voiceless. After all, they are the ones who are doing it all so that we can see them. We are working to provide them platforms and to share their words. I have never witnessed such extreme suffering in Palestine or such a high level of targeting of journalists in my life. To demonstrate your support for journalists, you can do the following by wearing press merchandise, as I am wearing here, which is widely available, is one way to show support for the journalists. We Wear Peace is an Instagram account where press jumpers are presently sold. And remember, our journalists are not numbers. They are people just like me and you, with families, hopes, dreams and aspirations. Enough is enough. Thank you.
Hi guys, thank you all very much for coming out here. My name is Sundus and I'm Palestinian. And I'm just going to speak a little bit about Western imperialism. If you want a concept that sums up the brutality of Western imperialism to its very core, look to its museums. Because they not only colonize our countries and put our people through suffering, they then have the nerve to steal our culture and artifacts and bring it back to the West and lock it up behind cages for the world to see. Almost like some sort of trophy. And that leads you to ask, are they actually remorseful for their behavior? And when you find the answer to that, all the current events that are unfolding in the world will make perfect sense. They've never stopped anything because of a change of heart. They've never had heart. They've never had compassion. They've only ever ended their colonial tendencies because of major resistance or major consequences. When the cost of fighting becomes more expensive than the cost of losing, that's the only time that they've ever stopped. But this time, we're not only going to show them that the cost of fighting is too expensive, we're going to show them that this can never be done again. Time and time again, history has repeated itself. This time, this movement is going to show them that it doesn't happen again. You don't get to just apologize and hide for a few years and then come back and colonize the rest of the world. This time, it's forever. That's it. It's the last time. Thank you very much. Free Palestine!
Palestine! Palestine! Palestine! Viva, viva! Palestina! Viva, viva! Palestina!
Another good speaker.
Hi everyone! I'm going to read something I wrote a few weeks ago. More like spoken word, really. So the title is When You Talk to a Palestinian Raised in Diaspora. I'm a Palestinian raised in diaspora. So this is when you talk to a Palestinian raised in diaspora. When you talk to a Palestinian raised in diaspora, know that although they might have never met their homeland, they've inherited her resilience, her love for people, her tolerance and her patience. When you talk to a Palestinian raised in diaspora, talk to them like you understand what it's like to be stripped of your identity. Talk to them like you understand what it's like to lose all your family. When you talk to a Palestinian raised in diaspora, know that the flames of their rage cannot be put out. Know that their strength comes from their roots. Know that the only language they speak is that of justice and liberation. When you talk to a Palestinian raised in diaspora, talk to them like you understand that their family is being ethnically cleansed. Talk to them like you understand what it's like to resist occupation when the entire world is standing on the side of the oppressor. Talk to them like you understand that they're being caged, starved, bombed and tortured, because they'll remind you that they cannot be erased. Palestine will change the world because its history has been written in blood. I'm a Palestinian raised in diaspora. Talk to me like you understand that your silence is louder than your voice. Talk to me when you're ready to denounce the dehumanizing language and actions used towards us. Talk to me when you view people with a colonized history as humans. I'm a Palestinian raised in diaspora. Talk to me like you know that they're targeting our children because they know that their liberated mindsets are stronger than any weapons. Talk to me like you're infuriated that they're planning to build a holy land for their children on the graves of our children. I'm a Palestinian raised in diaspora. Don't just talk to me. Stand with me against injustice, because collectively we're stronger. Don't just talk to me. Shout with me until they hear us. Shout how many more innocent civilians must be killed before we can be angry. Shout how many more kids are supposed to cry before we drown in their tears. Shout how many more illegal weapons can a state use before they're deemed the aggressors. Shout how many more until you call us a genocide. Shout how many more until you call for a ceasefire. I'm a Palestinian raised in diaspora. I stand hand in hand with you. We talk to those who are complicit like we don't understand how they've washed their hands of the blood of the Palestinian children. We are humans, and as humans, stand with me against injustice, occupation, hate, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, violence and aggression. As a human, stand with me until we see a liberated world. Thank you.
It takes a certain level of moral depravity to not only greenlight the atrocities we are witnessing in Palestine, but then to deflect the onus on the oppressed. Villainizing the victim makes you the monster. There has been a slow and calculated dehumanization of the Arab world, and particularly Muslim men, throughout our media, throughout our government. To those who are not here today, they need to ask themselves, has that dehumanization affected them? Is a baby a threat? You're killing their dreams before they are imagined. So we demand of the leaders from worlds soaked in a bloody history of colonialism and imperialism, cease fire and find your humanity again. They say we have no power, but when you add up our tears, they flow into streams. And when streams merge, rivers flow. They flow to freedom, they flow to sea. So we will persist for the day Palestine is free. Free, free! Palestine! Free, free! Palestine!
We seem to think that the issue of Palestine and Israel is a far-reaching issue. It's somewhere far, far away. And, you know, sometimes people don't have to think about it. But the history of Israel is embedded in the history of Britain. The UK was instrumental in the creation of Israel. The UK is responsible for the genocide we see today. The UK and the US and the United Nations that everyone seems to deem as this glorious thing that protects us were involved in the creation of Israel. Israel is birthed out of imperialism, and a key component of imperialism is violence. Back in 1933, the British government were beating Palestinian protesters before Israel was even created. Britain has had an instrumental part in creating Israel, and it's up to us as the people to fight against it. We do not stand with our rulers who tell us that we should side with Israel because they acted in self-defense. What is self-defense? Self-defense is what Hamas have done. Self-defense is Palestinian resistance. Self-defense is fighting for your own land. Self-defense is fighting against the genocide that is happening to your people. We can no longer legitimize Israel. The way our rulers talk, that Israel is a democracy, a place of a rule of law. That doesn't mean people. They are settlers. They are colonial settlers, and that is the truth. And what we say to the colonial settlers is, get out or you can become a Palestinian Jew, but you will no longer live in a state called Israel. We must continue to stand with the Palestinian people unwaveringly, because they are the oppressed and they are fighting for their lives, and we must fight beside them. Because this fight is not just about Palestine, it's a fight against imperialism everywhere. It is a fight for the Middle East, where Israel is a watchdog for the West. That is why Israel is there. It is a watchdog to keep an eye on the Middle East, to make sure the rulers are keeping in line with what the US say. So we must stand with the Palestinian people, because we stand against imperialism, and we stand against the atrocities of colonialism, and we stand for a free land for Palestinian people. We must continue to fight, not here today, just on the streets, continue to boycott and divest from companies who continually invest in Israel, to stop buying from the rubbish we call Starbucks and McDonald's, who continually invest in Israel. We have the power to create the change. We as the working class people. Forget the rulers. Their interests do not lie with us. They will never lie with us. So we must always be the one to create that change. So continue to stand with Palestine and continue to fight, to boycott and to raise your voice, because we are the ones who create revolution. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Some of you might be wondering why I've been carrying this white flag. Are we saying we give up? No, not at all. The white in the Yemeni flag, I bought this last week, symbolizes a brighter future. And I want you all to remember this. We've heard the problems. Now what is the solution? I am from the apartheid free zone, and what we're trying to do is to make sure that we invest in an apartheid free world. And what does that mean? That means not investing in apartheid like this. Not investing and putting your money in Barclays, not giving your money and buying from companies that invest in apartheid. You all know the problem, and we have the solution. So I really got nothing else to say. It's a long day, but I want you all to follow apartheidfreezone.cardiff on Instagram, and I thank you all for coming here. Think of the solution. We all have the power to change this. This is not just for Palestine. This is for an apartheid-free world. Invest in an apartheid-free world. Invest in a world free from apartheid, free from oppression, free from injustice, free from ethnic cleansing. Yeah? Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Palestine! Palestine! Viva, viva!
Viva, viva! Viva, viva! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, today we stand united with our Palestinian brothers and sisters. We will continue to stand united as a community for justice and freedom. Our spirit will never be broken, and today and together we must continue to resist the unjust forces that seek to suppress us. Our unity is our greatest weapon, and through solidarity we shall overcome these challenges. We must continue to speak out and reclaim our rights for the Palestinian people, and our community's perseverance will be the beacon of light that lights the path to freedom. Stand firm, resist the occupation, and free Palestine. Thank you so much for coming out today. We'll draw close here now, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week in Cardiff, where there'll be an announcement for another protest. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.
I hope we just go back where we came.